All right, if you're just getting started with learning the code, let's talk about a trap that we've all kind of fell into from one extent to another, and that is becoming addicted to tutorials. And you know exactly what I mean. You're watching endless tutorials one after the other with the thought that, hey, this is the fastest way to actually completing a project, and I'll have something to show that I actually can be a developer and I built something. Well, the fact is that yes, you will have a completed project, but you actually hadn't gone through the process that you need to in order to genuinely learn how to code. So if this sounds familiar, don't worry, we've all been there. In this video, I'm going to explain how relying on tutorials can be very detrimental to your growth as a developer, and with some things that you want to consider and start implementing immediately to kind of break free of this addiction. So when I initially started out learning the code, I felt that this was the fastest way to learn code was by watching someone else build through a tutorial. I would binge watch a playlist on React, Node, API, Spring Boot, Python, you name it. I was watching it all. And I felt productive by the end of the tutorial because in the moment I could reflect on certain topics that they would mention. And I had a project that I walked away with that was actually working. And I thought that I was actually doing something, if you will. But when I actually started to do more coding, I began to realize that hey, I'm not actually retaining this information as well as I thought I was. And having a tutorial was kind of like having training wheels on a bicycle when you're learning to ride. Yes, they're good when you're initially starting out, but they're going to give you the illusion that you're making progress when in actuality you're really not. So the root of the problem is this: tutorials actually train you and give you instructions on how to do something, but it doesn't actually develop the number one skill with coding, and that's problem solving. You're watching someone else debug, you're watching someone else build the project, but you're not actually seeing what takes place behind the scene in order for them to actually get that finished product. When you're watching someone else go through the debugging process, they're the ones actually getting that muscle memory and that muscle exercise, if you will, of problem solving, utilizing their brain to dissect the problem into smaller issues and overcoming the issue of connecting that API to the application or finding that bug with displaying the data that they didn't realize that was there before. So what happens in the process while you're following the tutorial is that you're getting good at copying and pasting what someone else is doing, but you're not actually getting good at creating and thinking through issues. So think about it. What's the better way to learn? Watching Gordon Ramsay or a famous chef cook in the kitchen, or you getting in the kitchen yourself and making some mistakes and learning from your mistakes? That second approach is going to be the better route if you genuinely want to learn how to cook. Well, that's the same thing with coding. You want to be the ones to get the hands-on experience and go through those growing pains so that you actually have something you can walk away with saying that I built this from scratch, not me following what someone else is doing. So now let's talk about some techniques that work for me and will work for you as well on how to kind of break free from that tutorial addiction. So the first thing that helped me was pausing the tutorial early. Don't finish the whole thing after about 10, 15 minutes or so, or once you get into a good starting point. Go ahead and stop yourself from watching that tutorial and try to build whatever concept or application on your own. That way you can see what you actually know and you can allow that tutorial to kind of fill the gaps of where you may have written wrong and what you could do differently going forward so that you can build this application or you can build this part of the process on your own without relying on that tutorial. The next thing I would recommend to you is to actually change something that you're building. So if you're building a to-do list app that you're following someone else do, maybe add categories or filters to that application. Maybe add search capabilities or maybe drag and drop. Add something else different to that tutorial so that you're going to take what they've already established and you're going to look to add something else to it by challenging yourself, reading the documentation, and figuring out how to add or implement whatever feature it is that I want to add to this app and not watch someone else do it. That way you're customizing it, you're making it your own. And yeah, you're still getting the benefits of a tutorial, but more importantly, you're getting the benefits of learning and problem solving than doing something on your own. The next thing that you'll want to do is you want to go off script. Don't just copy what they're doing. Figure out ways that you could change it and do it differently. So for instance, if someone is building a e-commerce store and they're integrating PayPal, why don't you consider integrating Stripe? They're going to show you how to go through the documentation with PayPal. Now you replicate that and do the exact same thing by going through the Stripe documentation and figuring out how to implement it into your application. That could be one way that you're going off script and you're making this your own. And again, most importantly, you're getting that exercise of problem solving and figuring out something on your own without relying on someone else to tell you exactly what to do and how to solve the issue. The final thing I would recommend to you is to build small projects from scratch. It doesn't matter if it's ugly, if it's the best written code, if it's the most efficient code. The point is to wrestle through the issue and to actually solve the problem and walk away with the finished project. Even though it may not be the most efficient way and there may be some redundancy in your code, at least you can say you built it on your own. And I can assure you that this feeling of self gratification is going to feel so much better than finishing a 12-hour long tutorial, because this is something that you built on your own from scratch. It is authentically yours. No one else can say that you followed them, and you can wear that as a badge of honor, saying that, hey, I built this on my own. This is something that I did without anyone else's help. So take a hard look in the mirror and ask yourself this: are you building more, or are you watching someone else build code instead of you? Because if you're not spending and putting in that time and actually building projects yourself, chances are you're not going to get that growth and progression that you're looking for as a developer, because you're spending too much time watching someone else and not enough time actually coding. So bottom line is this: the truth of the matter is that in order for you to enhance your skills as a developer, it's not about finishing courses or walking away with a degree. It's about being able to say, hey, I've gone through the struggle. Here are the projects that I've built on my own. Here are the technologies that I've learned on my own. Not so much about, hey, this is something that I've seen this YouTuber or this TikToker do, and now I've done it. And I'm going to use what they've built in my own portfolio, saying that this is something that I built. That's not what's going to help you become a developer and a good developer faster. The beauty behind this is being able to genuinely go through the struggle and persevere through it on the other side. And yes, I know this process is going to feel so much slower. It's harder. It's a genuine struggle, but that's the exact point. That's when your brain is actually becoming a problem solver instead of someone that's efficient with copying and pasting. So my challenge to you is, the next time that you want to build a project and you're on YouTube, don't just copy that tutorial that may be tempting to click on. Maybe click on it, understand the functionality and the features that they've built, write those down, and you begin to build your own project, maybe replicating that, but not necessarily copying the tutorial, because you may need some sort of guide to kind of help you get through the process. And as you kind of learn that pattern of what needs to be done in order for you to build it, you're going to find yourself walking away further and further from tutorials, and you're going to realize that your time is better spent Googling, using ChatGPT, Stack Overflow, Reddit, all of the different forms and the documentation to kind of help build those projects, versus relying on a YouTuber to show you what exactly they done to build the project and you copying it. So with that, those are some steps in the process that I took in order to become more efficient as a coder, and more importantly, to break a coding tutorial addiction. I'd love to hear some things that you're struggling with, and let me know in the comments the very first project you built without relying on a tutorial. Hope you found this video beneficial. If you did, feel free to give it a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.